We are live. What's going on? Today's a big day for you.
Testing,
Hey,
testing.
can you not hear me?
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Take that as a no. Oh, you can.
Yeah. I said, yeah. You take me saying yes, I can as a no? Silly. You're silly. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll take that as a no.
I'll take that as a no. That's
That would be a good remember how like there was
chapter.
a time when there were just random slogans on t-shirts?
That's right.
That'd be a good one. I'll take that as a no.
Leave a message at the beep.
Today's a big day. Closing time. One last call for real estate. So finish your mortgage and title.
Yeah, I think that's like those are the original lyrics.
Yeah.
And they changed it from buying a house to closing a bar.
Closing a bar. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the home buying process is overly complex and is ripe for sort of tech disruption or some kind of disruption? Probably tech disruption, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Number one. Yes. Like I think the whole you can get rid of brokers. I don't know why brokers need to be involved at all.
Brokers, including realtors? Is that a category that includes realtors?
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that for sure can be replaced by an AI chatbot. But I do think parts of it are important.
Did you like your realtor?
Yeah.
Ours
fine.
is she's I just can't imagine. I couldn't imagine navigating this area with all the different complexities and market movement without her.
Okay.
I'm okay with that part of it, but at the same time, I get why that's your first instinct. Like it really, should we be able to go online and add a house to a shopping cart and check out and get a loan from Rocket Mortgage and be done?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think you can do it with cars now. And that was always the other biggest purchase people make. Now with houses, the reason that won't happen probably in our lifetime is because there's a lot of documentation and legal things that need to be verified by humans, and that's why you have a title company, because they need to make sure that there's stuff like that. Like there's actual thought that needs to go into the process of buying a house, whereas buying anything else, there's not. So, but I think at some point you can, like, if you could digitize the entire record, that'd be a great use of the blockchain, frankly.
Yeah.
It's like this house is owned by this person. And so everyone knows that.
That's right. Yeah. So it's just,
at some point,
it feels like it was designed to almost slow people down intentionally.
Sorry, I had to switch I missed the second half of your sentence.
I didn't know if you were signaling me. I said it feels like it's meant to slow people down intentionally. Like, are you sure you want to do this? We're going to take a little time now. We're going to look at some papers, but while we do, we want you to really think about this.
We want you to get comfortable here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they slowed the process down for any other reason other than everyone wants to make sure they get their piece.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what are we actually buying here? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I hope you're buying a house. I mean, I hope at this point you've gotten comfortable with what exactly you are buying.
Okay, so here's what exactly I am buying. I'm buying 20% of something on land that I lease from the government every year.
You don't own the land?
I mean, you pay property tax. How is that any different?
Because you own it. It's yours.
You own it. You just have to pay the government for owning it. So my point is, what are we really doing here, and how is it that much different than an apartment lease?
Yeah,
cash transaction, sure, that's a little bit more serious. But if you got that much cash, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. Right? You got $1 million in cold hard cash laying around, no paperwork necessary, right? Or the title, but that's it.
You still rent land from the government.
You do. Property tax is an insane thing to get my head around as someone who's never paid it. So even if the house is paid off, I pay tax to the government because I own something. Not because I'm buying something, but because I own it.
It's because you live. It's because you own something in it. Where do you think that tax goes? It's not federal tax, right?
Property tax is state tax, right?
It's local tax. It's state tax.
Oh, really? Property tax only goes to my local. That's why it's different in every municipality. So I'd be interested to see how Florida, what their proposal to do away with property tax looks like, and where they're going to get that money. What are the alternate funding sources?
Tourism, that's always it, right? Like hotel tax or.
I don't think there's a lot of tourism in Cedar Grove, New Jersey right now. Not this time.
Yeah, so you're probably stuck paying it, I guess, for a while. But no, I every time they build a new stadium, they're like, we're going to fund this with a tax on rental cars or hotel rooms. So because Florida doesn't have state income tax, so if you aren't collecting tax, then everything's just going to go to shit.
Yeah, but so I don't know. Did you see they are considering doing away with property tax in Florida, of all places, where they don't have state tax, which is so nice. I lived in Washington for a few years, no state tax. It's really, you feel it,
Sure.
It sounds,
sure.
You feel it.
I'll tell you, the worst one I had was when in Virginia, if you buy a car, you pay property tax on your car.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
We should overthrow the government. This is getting nuts.
I'm getting kind of tired of it, to be honest. This whole government thing, this experiment that we've tried, it's not working. What about this New York? So I'm curious to get your opinion on the New York City thing. There's a lot of angles of it for.
Yeah, dude. Wild. Right. First of all, do you ever go on Polymarket? Do you know what Polymarket is?
No.
So Polymarket is now how I start my day. And let's see if I can pull it up. It's a website that allows you to bet on outcomes of world events, on things that are happening around us. And what's interesting about it is that it's very rarely wrong. The money rarely lies is a better way to say it, right?
Is that really surprising?
That the money rarely lies?
Yes. If it's a something you can now gamble on that you couldn't previously gamble on, and that can be influenced by people who aren't subject to the rules of the National Basketball Association.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's right. Great. It's like a little dashboard to see what's happening in the world and what
I do like that. Yeah, it's like, here's the top 12 things that you should be concerned about.
Yeah. And, obviously I don't even have an account. I have no interest in wagering on these things, but this guy's got a 75% chance to win the election as it stands right now. So you have to check the volume, right? Because like 6 million, that's probably enough to feel relatively confident, right? But like, we're not getting a 50 bips decrease from the Fed.
Not by July.
This is an interesting one. There's only
Run out of time.
185K wagered, but will Cuomo run as a non-Democrat?
I think he said he was, right?
You know, I think he may have coasted a little bit based on name recognition and thought, because he was pretty far ahead at the beginning of the race. Which I think he hung back a little, you know.
Let's address that first thing you just said. He's pretty far ahead. This is a guy who went from being, he could have run for president in 2020. And if he would have declared for the presidency in April of 2020 and picked Anthony Fauci as his running mate, he would have fucking won.
Yeah, that's true. There was a window there where those two were kings.
We were watching Andrew Cuomo New York state press conferences nightly.
Those were wild, man. I was living in the city at that time. That was a wild time.
Right. It was like, it was important. And he did a great job with those. And then it's like, okay, first of all, he's sexually harassing women. Like, there's photo evidence of it happening. That picture where he's got his hands around that girl's,
it's unsettling.
And you can tell she's just like, get off of me.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't know the details of his nursing home issues, but he had them, and I'm sorry,
the investments.
Yeah, I don't know what the details are, but I know that's why he's out, right? Like, he's out because of the sexual harassment and that. It's not just, it's corruption. It's
he was kind of canceled, for a better term, canceled from gubernatorial candidacy.
And so now he's way ahead in the fucking New York City mayoral race over like, because they're replacing a guy who's corrupt. Like, what is that? And he's coasting because he thinks he's going to win. That's just, that right there says everything you need to know about New York City and its political history. And it's not been everybody.
Polling. I thought that was your target. You were going to say polling is misleading if that.
Well, it is.
I don't know. I mean, you would think on the one hand that you're not becoming the governor of New York State unless you're carrying New York City. So what would make someone think that, well, I don't have, or maybe what they had done was he had the popularity, right? Like, people had gotten over whatever they were upset about, you know, the sexual harassment in the nursing home. Like, who gives a crap if I don't know. The sexual harassment, yes, but the nursing home thing, I never really thought that was that big of a deal. But it is kind of weird, right?
It's also,
on the other hand, you have an anti-Semitic child of an immigrant who has a funny name, and Cuomo's how old? 70, 60s, late 60s?
I think he's in the 70s. He looks like he is, at least.
So, like, he's come up in a world of politics where that guy doesn't win very often in New York City, right? So I think there was some hubris involved. That's my point.
Yeah, like I said, there's and I am curious to hear your thoughts on Zohan. Is it Zohan? Is that his first name?
Yeah, let's just go.
Mamdani. I've seen some clips of where they've asked him about his, not anti-Semitism, but like to clarify his, I never heard what he said originally. And his answer is about it's Israel. It's not, here's another, let me step back.
Yeah. That I see what you're dancing around here.
When you hear people talk about Israel, is that really code for Jewish people in your mind?
This is a complicated
when people say like Israel doesn't have the right to exist, and that's you can pretty much say at that point, if someone says that, then yeah, they're anti-Semitic. But if they're like, look, Gaza has a right to exist, or Palestinians deserve a state, do you as a Jewish man hear that and say that person is likely anti-Semitic, or they are, or they may not be? What do you think there?
So I'll caveat this by saying right now it's a little bit different because of what's happening in Gaza, and because if you're not concerned about what Israel's doing in Gaza, you know, Like that, even Israelis are protesting against what Israel is doing in Gaza, right? Like there's very real reasons. But in general, like taking the recent aggression in Gaza off the table, it is a heartbreaking reality to learn, or it was heartbreaking for me when I learned that, yes, that is exactly what it means. Now, right now, it's getting separated into two issues. It's getting separated into Zionists and non-Zionists, basically. So I've seen more sentiment now more than ever around there's a good kind of Jew, and then there's a Zionist, which is where the evil is. But yeah, like it's so hard to say because of up until 10/7, if I had heard someone say anything anti-Israel, yes, my immediate assumption is that they're anti-Semitic, and I'm right, 99 times out of 100. Now it's getting a little muddier. Like I do think there are people who don't have a problem with Jews who just have a problem with what Israel's doing. They were aggressors in Iran, they're aggressors in Gaza. And the problem is that, and what non-Jews would probably have a hard time understanding, or maybe not actually. I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving people enough credit, but it's not about supporting Israel's politics or their military strategy. It's that it has to exist. It has to be. I don't need to be there as a Jew, but it needs to be. It needs to exist. And I think a lot of Jews get really sensitive when that existence is threatened. And like when you think about it from that standpoint, it puts the context of what Israel's doing, or puts what Israel's doing into a much different context, because how can you risk annihilation? Like if that's what's on the table, that's the stated agenda of any other state, what would the US do? What would Mexico do? What would France do? Like you cannot just wait for people who want to annihilate you. I don't even care if they have 5% of a nuclear weapon. It's too much. Like you got to take care of that. And
I agree.
think Israel, have you met Israeli people? They're not like a empathetic, let me sit down and hear you out kind of bunch.
Yeah.
They're sort of a call to action bunch.
I will say this. I had never met, well, let me put it this way. The one time, and it kind of speaks to like why I think this kind of stuff is important. But
yeah,
when I did my semester in Europe in college, I don't even know what city I was in, but I was at a bar, and me and a classmate just started talking to this couple, and they were about our age, and they were from Tel Aviv. And it was like, and this is in 2002. And so there were still like rocket attacks happening. And I remember it was happening a lot. And I remember just like asking him, like, wow, what's that like being there? And never once was I considering that these two people were even Jewish, honestly. And maybe that's not.
It's kind of an ethnos.
I should, but
I don't know if that's
but it was just kind of like, you live in Israel, whatever your religion is, you live there, and you live in Tel Aviv. And they were like, yeah, it's just part of life. It's just how it kind of goes and stuff. And they were very cool and whatever. But like,
I remember
I didn't go ahead.
No, I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I've heard and I've spoken with and had conversations and business transactions with, Orthodox Jews, not Hasidic Jews. Right. I'm sorry.
It's the curls and the
yeah. And they're very direct people, and sometimes, but look, I've had bad business dealings with everybody. Sometimes they don't go great. And
I don't think
you do what you got to do.
Depending on the Hasidic, like they probably wouldn't consider me Jewish.
Right. So that's kind of you get to every minority group probably has. It certainly is true for African Americans, right? We've heard those stories, but like that's unfortunate.
And Muslims,
but it also
there's an extreme group, that's an extreme minority of a minority or of any group that kind of is the public facing.
But even within, you're like, you're not this enough for us, which is fucking ridiculous. But it's
so his Hasids in Israel don't serve,
right?
They're exempt from serving. So there's a divide in Israel between Hasidics and non-Hasidics too, because like
I heard that after October 7th and thought, but they're also representing in government pushing for military action.
That's right.
And look, kind of fucking put your money where your mouth is kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get it, but obviously that there's a religious side of this thing too. That's where it gets tough, man. Where the religion is driving political. You're saying you don't want
Star of David on the flag.
Yeah, this is not it's not the Jewish religion that you hate. It's Israel, but it's like, man, you've got people who are governing the country based on the religious beliefs.
Right. That's right. And
and that's happening here too, by the way. Let's not get it twisted. And did you see that Tucker Carlson? Hold on. I'm jumping around.
That's all right.
So, I mean, what do you think about if he gets elected mayor? Because we were talking about Donnie getting elected mayor. Do you think there will be a marked change in the way the Jewish population in New York City is treated?
Did you see the first of all, he didn't win the primary without Jews voting for him, which is
right.
The most jarring but not surprising part of him being elected or winning the primary. I don't know, man. I mean, in general, I think that it's definitely a cause for concern. And as someone who's witnessed firsthand anti-Semitism increasing in New York City, just since I've lived there, I think a couple of things are happening. One, there's a new breed of sort of not self-hating, that's the wrong term, but I think there's a group of Jews on the Upper East Side, Upper West Side, whatever, who have had it. And this isn't even Jews, this is kind of Americans, but in this context, who have had it so good for so long, they're at the top of Maslow's hierarchy, right? All of their needs have been met for a long time, and now they're just thinking about abstractions. And I don't know that they're making a really wise, informed decision. I think it's like a pressure to assimilate, right? Like, I remember a rabbi told me one time when I was in my teen years, he looked me right in the eye, and this was an Orthodox rabbi, not Hasidic, but an Orthodox rabbi. And he looked me right in the eye and said, assimilation is killing more Jews than the Holocaust. That was his view, right? Assimilating. I think he had asked me if I only date Jewish girls, and I said no. I must have been in my 20s, early 20s. And he was like, then you're part of the problem. And that attitude from the leadership within Judaism has turned off so many millennials that now assimilation is like, well, we don't want our kids and us to grow up in a world where we are separating ourselves from the rest. And I think that's been perverted now into, we can't support Israel, or we want to be seen as someone who's supporting peace, right? But I don't understand when everyone got so goddamn soft. Every single border on every single map was drawn because of conflict. That is how the world has worked, and unfortunately, the way it still works. And it would be very nice if we lived in this global utopia where we didn't need borders and everybody got along, but that's just so far from reality right now. I don't know that, but on the other hand, I'm also like, we're old enough now to realize that nothing changes. Anytime you hear everything's going to change, all the Jews are going to move, all the businesses are going to move to Florida, right? They're probably not. New York City's still going to be great.
They get rid of property tax. You never know.
I mean, that would be nice, even though I'm in New Jersey. The free buses and state-run grocery stores are bad ideas. The idea of a anti-Semitic mayor in New York just feels wrong, right? It just feels like something I would have never seen in my life. And there have been so many things. Like my concern, if I were to plot out a concern, like a timeline of my concern about like being Jewish in America, it kind of would go like this, and then recently spike up. It's gotten really, really bad, and part of it is because of what's happening in Israel. But even before that, it was getting, I don't know, something just like a tone shifted. And you know, you had Kanye, which is silly.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't help. That's a you know, it's a lot of followers, a lot of young, impressionable followers. So I don't know.
So how do you reconcile? Let me ask you this, because you're a huge Kanye fan, and you still are.
Yeah.
And you respect his music.
Got some talent.
Which I get. I mean, look, there is a level by which you can appreciate an artist's art without putting any weight on whatever they are, however they live their life personally. That's tough. And at some point, and Kanye, I think, has gotten to that point where it's just like it's impossible to ignore because he keeps doing it. How do you still enjoy Kanye and consume his music for being completely anti-Semitic versus a mayor who's not, you know, let's just say he is as anti-Semitic. I don't think he hasn't been as outward about it, but who knows? Let's just assume for the sake of the argument he is.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Like what would be, how would you not support him, but support Kanye just about what they do? Is it just because the mayor is obviously way more important than a rapper, a musical artist?
I think it's because I understand how Kanye arrived at his opinion.
Mental illness.
Yeah, that, and like he works in an industry that's dominated by Jewish executives. And while I think it's horrible, I certainly understand that he was taken advantage of. I'm trying to be fair and say, if I were taken advantage of, especially as a young person trying to make it, and every person who had taken advantage of me had that in common, you know, I don't know that I would be mature enough or wise enough to realize that is not you know, I shouldn't judge the entire group by it.
Sure.
I don't know what this mayor's reasons are. You know, I don't know where it came from. If it came from home, which is usually the case, you know, and the times I've seen anti-Semitism, especially as a kid, you know, it was almost always coming from at home. And but I don't know. Like, I don't know if his beef is just with Israel and he's using this as a political springboard to capture people's empathy and attention, because that's like what's driving the Democratic Party right now. Who can we have the most empathy? What diminished people can we have the most amount of empathy for, right? And whoever has the most empathy wins. That's the contest. So I don't know if he's playing on those if he's pushing political buttons. I mean, what's happening with Iran and Israel right now is so fascinating. Like the dynamics between the U.S., Israel, Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon. I mean, how Israel used 10/7 as an opportunity to significantly weaken Hezbollah, because Hezbollah in Lebanon had been the main deterrent for Israel taking military action against Iran. So Netanyahu, who has been in power since the 90s and has always had a wild hair for Israel, the chess game, you know, let's 10/7, Hezbollah is a threat. They're supporting Hamas. They're launching rockets. Let's go diminish Hezbollah. That will also give us the runway to be able to go take care of Iran. but we can't piss off the US. We can't piss off Iran. We can't piss off Saudi Arabia. We're in a good space right now with Jordan, Syria, Saudi Arabia, who are, intercepting Iranian rockets on Israel's behalf now. So like the dynamics of this, and then you have what's happening in Gaza and Egypt not letting Gazan refugees in, Palestinian refugees. Like there's so many pieces on this chessboard that and then you have the US's relationship with Israel, where Israel, so the US gives more foreign aid to Israel than any other country by a very wide margin. Yeah. It's almost like $4 billion a year. I think it's like 3.8 billion annually. But Israel can only spend that money in the US. Right? So like,
is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they can only spend it on defense, and they can only spend it in the US. So if you look at Israel's defense spending, I think that it's like, I don't know the numbers, but percentage wise, it's like 98% comes from US defense contractors, and then 2% comes from, I don't know where else, some other source, just to diversify.
Property tax.
Yeah, property tax. Yeah. Yeah. So you have people that are really against the US supporting Israel, but like, you remember the Hezbollah pager thing, right?
Yeah, that was sick.
That's why that's why America supports Israel, because their intelligence, Mossad, is the best intelligence agency in the world. They share intelligence, and if you trace the history of it, I think it was under Clinton. The first time it was under Clinton, and then again under Obama, the first time that Israel proposed ending US aid, right? We're good. We appreciate the support. We don't need the money anymore. We're still going to need you when time comes. And I think that lasted until under Obama, when both sides decided to continue it, right? And then it increased and increased and increased every year. And it's interesting because when you look at it from Israel's perspective, it's really not always in their best interest to receive that level of aid from the US, because now they are the US's mouthpiece in the Middle East. So they have to balance that against it's wildly complicated. And I think incredibly fascinating too, just to think about how difficult the machinations are. And then you have the US, who's now basically in a position of, okay, we're no longer entering foreign wars, but if you pay in, it's basically the mafia. You have protection, right? You're going to have to do the heavy lifting, but when you need dad to come in and tell everyone to go to bed, we're going to come in and do it. So it's that is like the new world dynamic, and it's all playing out in real time. And then you have this guy
happening in Ukraine.
It's happening in Ukraine too, right? Yeah. And
proxy wars.
Trump, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Like, he's really played this. He's really handled this very well. Like, I did not think we were going to get number one, I didn't think the US was going to drop the bomb on Fordo, but they did like 12 times. How interesting was that too? The mission,
the execution of the military action is always impressive.
That blew me away.
Yeah, because you can train for that stuff, but like until you're doing it, and as unlikely as it seemed that there would be any harm caused to B-2 bombers that are stealth and fly at, I don't know, 60,000 feet or whatever it is. I don't even know how high they fly.
After at one time it was Baghdad, but then obviously that's changed since we invaded. I think Tehran is the most protected city in the world when it comes to anti-aircraft. So not so easy to come in unnoticed.
Well, they didn't go to Tehran, number one.
It's right outside of Tehran. Fordo is.
Okay. It's in the burbs.
Yeah, it's in the burbs.
Next to the Costco. I just think that it's, I do think there's some overstatement about how dangerous it was to fly bombers. I don't believe that those guys were I'm sure it was more stressful than a normal day at work.
Yeah, that's right.
Barracks.
That's right. But maybe the risk of being shot down wasn't that much. I also didn't realize that our B-2 bombers will not land on foreign soil.
They only take off and land from Missouri.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I heard that throughout this. They can be in the air for 50 hours without refueling, apparently.
Yeah, and I think this one was like 30 some, right?
They refueled, but yeah, they won't land. They will only come back to the middle of the country.
I also didn't know we were the only country that had the B2, considering it's 30-year-old technology. I mean, the original B2 is 30 years old. I'm sure it's changed since, but did you see Pete Hegseth did a briefing on how they actually bombed Fordo?
I saw him as far as like how the language he used about how it was so intense and
he's like
obliteration. He's so stupid,
isn't he?
He's like
he looks like he should be in like Independence Day 3 as the Secretary of Defense, not the real Secretary of Defense.
He basically was. He was an actor. He worked for Fox News. You're not a journalist at that point. You're an entertainer.
Yeah,
and that's what he was, and that's what he's fucking doing now.
So there was a hole, and I only saw the satellite image, but I would say, a huge hole in general, but from the sky, not that huge. And there was a concrete cap over it. So when people were looking at images of the damage, it was very hard to assess what had been done because they blew this concrete cap off of this hole basically it was Star Wars with the Death Star. They slipped it down a ventilation shaft. They blew the concrete cap off, and then they dropped 6 more bombs right in the same hole. It's pretty impressive that can even be done, like that level of
right. Yeah. Yes. That is. Look, people like not to spend money on military shit, but like, say that when you don't have the best stuff and you live next to neighbors who hate you. Yeah. We don't. But we do have the best stuff still. They can hit anything from anywhere, basically.
I went down the Wikipedia rabbit hole of I was actually like, I wanted to understand the history of the U.S. and Israel relations from before my lifetime. And you know how throughout a Wikipedia article, you see a bunch of links. And I ended up in the sort of the U.S. weapons arsenal. And that bomb, the GBU-57 bunker buster, it's a 20,000 pound bomb. 20,000 pounds. I could be wrong. I mean, at least,
does that mean that's how much it weighs, or is that how much? What does that mean?
I believe so. I mean, could that be? Could a plane take off with you know aviation better than I do? Look up the GBU-57U bunker buster.
If I type in 30,000 in Google, it says 30,000 yen to USD. Let's just check that real quick. $207.
That's what you're doing. You're out running currency schemes. I gotta check my wire instructions.
Yeah, speaking of currency schemes, we'll get to that in a second after we solve the Israel-Palestine issue here. I'm sure we'll do that. Wrap that up in the next 5 minutes. Do I own life insurance?
Yeah.
Nothing outside of what I get from work, and I think I have a very small life insurance policy with the Croatian Fraternal Union, which I'm sure will be fine to collect on for whoever the beneficiary is.
You want to so this is what went down to pay for the house. So we're sort of tracking Amazon stock, right, to sell it. It goes down to 172. We're thinking, do we need to suspend the house search? I tweet that some guy, did I tell you about this? I follow a guy called Strip Mall Guy that has millions of followers, and he retweeted. So basically he said he had a friend who had his down payment saved up in stock, and now he's not looking for a house anymore. And I replied, and I was like, yeah, a lot of my down payment is saved up in Amazon stock. We're still looking for a house, but considering adjusting our budget. And he retweeted what I think he retweeted, and he was like, everyone look at Josh.
Oh, you showed me this. Yeah.
Okay. So that's when that's happening, right? Then it comes back up to like 210 and we're cruising, right? 210. And then we sell right here.
Very nice.
Well, look at what happens immediately afterwards.
Fewer capital gains, I guess. Silver lining. It went up to $5. Okay. 7. So that, what is that on 200? So that's 3. Not even 3%.
It was
3%.
about to 12 grand based on what we it was a lot. It was significant. Anyway, that's the only thing that hasn't worked out well here, you know. And
yeah.
But that, you know, we liquidated enough to pay the IRS, the house, and repairs. So like we took out, we cashed out. It's a weird feeling, man. Had that for a long time, you know.
So you're wiring the money to escrow today. You close on Monday.
Close on Monday.
Sign your name 80 times or whatever it is.
Is that what it is? I've never done it.
Maybe not that many, but it's a lot.
Dude, could you imagine how much harder this process is going to be when you're selling a house?
I don't think it's much more difficult. I think it's easier.
Why not?
Frankly.
How?
Because you don't have to worry about paying for anything. You just show up and sign everything.
I meant more so from like the timing and logistics, right? Like, isn't it difficult to buy a house, sell your house, close on this house, close it? You have to do 2 closings, right? It's just a second. Yeah. It's like you're doing the whole thing twice, but maybe not.
I mean, we did that. I wasn't really a part of the closing for the condo, but it was.
Oh, yeah, you did it.
But we didn't. It wasn't contingent. Like we bought the house before we sold the condo.
And what would contingent mean?
Like we didn't have to sell one property to pay for the other one. So we didn't worry about it. They didn't have to happen at the same time, which I think is what you're talking about, right? Like if you're trying to coordinate all that.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that. Well, I just assumed that you're doing it because you're moving, but I guess not. Some people could, you know, if I could buy a second house, I'm coming back to what are we really buying here when we say we're buying a house? What are we really buying? I mean, I'm buying a mortgage. I'm not buying a house. Like I'm buying a financial product that in 30 years will allow me to have partial ownership of a home that I have to then pay rent to the local government. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah, cool.
Welcome to the club.
I want to be able to use Apple Pay next time.
So are you doing any work to it before you move in?
Yeah, so we're actually moving on the 7th. And between the
that's pretty quick then.
7th. Yeah.
Only a week later.
Yeah, well, we got to get out of here. You know, we wanted to, we agreed to give them 90 days notice, and we got really lucky in that this place rented out very quickly and for $1,800 a month more.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're happy to see you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out well for everybody. They've been fantastic, and you know, we've been good stewards of the property, and we made it look really nice for showings. They actually brought in a professional photographer once they saw how Allison had set it up, and they were like, "This is fantastic." So
nice.
She's feeling good because she got some kudos, but it worked out very well. So we don't end up having to pay anything for terminating, you know, a lease, which is nice.
Very cool.
But in order to not pay anything, we needed to get out quickly. So yeah, we're gonna do some skim coating maybe, but we're mostly gonna be tearing up floors, seeing what's underneath, hoping it's hardwood, hoping there was some underlayment. I've done some learning recently on. Have you done that before? Have you done floors, dude? What's going on with your place? Can't believe this wasn't my first question.
Finish yours.
I'm done. I just want to hear the horror story of your life.
This is bad. It's like it's to the point where it's like not funny. Like it's not just like inconvenient, like funny. Haha. It's okay. It's as bad as it gets.
Just making sure people know.
It's
Is it bad? Can I just generally categorize it as ineptitude, cost overruns, schedule delays, damage caused by like what is the main thing here?
All of it. I mean, basically,
that sucks.
We're exiting. We're in the middle of exiting the contract with the general contractor.
Oh,
and so I have to be careful about.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wouldn't ever come up, but
no, I know, but I don't want. It's not worth it. And is that? Do you have to get a lawyer for that?
Yep. That we've hired an attorney.
So everything's on
initial.
Hold right now.
It's been on hold for weeks. No work has been done to the house for weeks.
And I assume you're pursuing compensation for damages. What about the living expenses?
Well,
like because you're having to pay to live somewhere else.
So there's that part of it, but again, I'm not going to go too far down that road. But the goal here is that we are exiting the contract with our current GC and finding someone to step in and take over to again start moving forward. Separately would be any action to pursue for damages. So that is separate, and that is not.
But
yeah, same here.
Seeing if I can. Oh, you do?
I got to roll at like 8:30, 8:45. I got to go to the office today.
All right.
Unfortunately.
All right. So, yeah, without getting into the details, do you think that it will be resolved in your favor?
I think we'll get out of the contract. Yeah, no problem.
But is that all that you want right now, or is there more
That's all we want right now.
Okay.
And again, I don't want to go too far down the road. I will say this, just because I've done it professionally. There's a big difference between getting a judgment in your favor for damages and collecting that money. Getting a judgment in your favor is usually the easy part.
Yeah.
Where it gets slow and drawn out.
Not from a contractor. Yeah. But yeah, exactly. Because the court isn't an effective collector, or because the penalties for not paying aren't stiff enough?
The court doesn't collect anything.
Who does?
The court allows you to continue to escalate your rights on what you may collect from, if that makes sense.
To who to collect that money?
You or whoever you hire to do it. You can't do it yourself. Like I can't. You need attorneys to go and try to sell somebody's house, for example.
Oh,
you can't just do it.
Oh, and are we talking about a substantial sum here?
Yeah. Yes, and it's not again. When they're totally, we both are. Man. It's yeah. It's just. I mean,
we can talk
more about it
when it's like in the yeah.
Or offline.
That's dude, I'm sorry. That's brutal. No one.
We're hoping that we can get back into the house by the end of the year at this point.
And that would be getting back into the house with the renovations done that you had planned, or just back into the house? And the house has
no, with everything that we've planned.
Okay.
That ship has sailed. There's no adjustment at this point.
Yeah,
the house has
been finished,
framed incorrectly in a lot of places, but it's been framed to a certain shape, and so we're going to build it out. We're going to finish it. Listen, my dad said, he's like, look, there's the good news here is that you can solve this problem with money, because there's a lot of problems you can't solve with just money.
That's right. It's good wisdom there.
This is why you save it, right? You know that it's. I don't lose any sleep about the decision to do any of this. I don't think, or even who we hired originally.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Did you see this coming in any way, or do you blame yourself? Because it seems
we did our due diligence, man. We this builder. Now, unless everybody's fucking in on it and they're all just screwing us, which I don't know is true. But for the builder specifically, great recommendation. He does great work. You need to manage him a little bit. Okay. He wasn't the cheapest option. Right. We went to a house that he did. It was great. We talked to the people who lived in that house. They said they had a great experience. I don't know what else. And again, now if all of these people are in on it just to screw us out of, 100 grand or whatever it is.
What's that saying? Never assume conspiracy where incompetence fits.
Yeah. And so I don't get bummed out about that, but fuck, man, it's every day. It's just like something we have to deal with. We're just constantly, and that, the state the house is in right now is a problem. We've got water pooling against the foundation. We're trying to keep it from flooding.
So when your dad says
backyard's all dug out,
he means you can pay to have these things repaired.
Yeah, all it does is all this is happening. You could there's an amount of money you can just say I'm going to spend this, and you don't have to talk to anyone. You can get it done right.
Yeah.
That is not that we don't have that kind of money, right? Especially now.
Well, yeah, I mean maybe before this all started, you could have, but my gosh, you're doing some pretty intense repairs. Like that's going to cost. How much?
My point is, you could a lot, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Just learned about that.
That's not the problem.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's
new information.
Yeah, it's just
I didn't realize you had to pay tens of thousands of dollars to pay tens of thousands of dollars to fix your house.
Everybody gets a piece, man. That's what I'm learning here. And it's
so. Let me ask you
this.
Easily as someone about to go on this journey, a renovation journey. We're going to do as much as we can ourselves, but we also try to think of the right way to ask this. How would you advise me if I were deciding between kind of redoing a part of the house, kind of all in, the all in version, or doing it piece by piece, little by little, DIY project by DIY project? Like, is there an advantage to doing major renovations at the same time? Or do you think?
Yeah, because then you don't. Knowing what you can move out. You can move out. You don't have to live through it.
Yeah,
simple as that.
And that's better. You still think that's better?
And you can then get economies of scale for pricing, right? If you hire someone to do a lot of work, they will spread the cost of the overhead and the project setup and tear down and all that. That'll get spread about amongst a bunch of work as opposed to just one room or a bathroom or whatever.
What are the major variables that that make renovations more expensive? Is it shifting windows? Is it moving plumbing? Is it electrical? Is it moving walls?
Anything that's structural will cause serious price issues.
So like if we wanted the house we're moving into has 2 porches. Okay, yeah. I can give me 1 sec actually. So I've got until 9 now.
All right. I got to roll at 8:45, but
that's fine. So the house we're moving into has 2 porches on the side, covered porches, and both of the roofs need to be replaced. Okay. Well, all the roofs on the house need to be replaced. We talked about that, but those 2 first and foremost, more than the others. And one of the things we're considering, because on the if you're looking at the house on the right side, that roof has 2 skylights in it that also need to be replaced. But what they're covering, what that roof is over, is what they refer to as the maid's quarters. I guess it's where, I don't know, it's not what that, it's basically right off the kitchen. And we want to reclaim that space for the kitchen because it needs it, right? And that's going to add the most value to our lives and to the house. So rather than replace that roof now, it's like a domino effect. It's like, well, if we're going to replace that roof, we should wait till we do the kitchen, but we have to replace that roof now, or at least soon, blah, 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 and on it goes. So what we really want to do is bump out over that porch, bump the second floor out over that porch, rather than replacing the roof, then we can wait to do the kitchen. Is that sound logic? Like, I know you don't know exactly, but I'm saying, like, is bumping something out over a roof what you consider structural?
Oh yeah, big time.
So that's going to be a big
A
expense.
roof's not.
haven't gotten
A
close
roof
to any
doesn't
of this.
support anything. A roof's not built to support weight other than the shingles, right?
Right.
It's
So if you put
yeah,
something
that's
above it, it's going to be a major change, right?
I don't think they'll be able to just put something above it. I think if what I'm understanding correctly is that it's a porch right now with nothing above it, and the porch has a roof.
Yeah.
They may have to just tear the porch off and rebuild something that will actually fit a second or support a second story above it where the porch is now. Maybe I'm wrong.
I have no idea. Over here.
On the right. Okay.
Or over here.
On the left.
So this is the primary bedroom. And the primary bedroom, we only got this house for the price we did because it needs these things done, right? Or it doesn't need it. It's just the bathrooms are small and the kitchen needs to be redone, right? Those are the major things. So because the bathroom's small, there's no way for it to get bigger unless we go out over here or over here and then we move the primary.
I think I don't know, but I think that it's not going to be as easy as just like leaving the porch where it is and then creating.
No, so we would be
like building something on top of it,
kind of reclaiming the porch. And so
you're talking about you basically have to like cut that part of the house off and rebuild it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's going to
especially if it's that's getting to like serious
6 figures.
I would imagine so. Yeah. If you're building 2 stories, even if it's only a few hundred square feet.
That's right. If we have to build 2 stories, right? Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know if you can see, but inside this porch is a window.
Yeah, I do see that.
Which makes me think that this was added on. And because it's different siding, I have some theories about it. So this window in the middle is actually a closet. So there's a bedroom here, primary here, right? Closet right here.
I can't see your mouse, but
sorry. Bedroom, primary, bedroom.
Okay.
Closet. And then the staircase is behind this. There's a wall behind this and the staircase. So what we're doing is we're knocking down the wall and connecting these 2 closets, right? Now, it's odd to me that someone would put a window in a closet. So I think there's been alterations to this house over the years. And that was one of them.
Yeah, maybe.
And I also think this was added on because this looks like the original window of the house. Because why would you put a window inside of a porch?
Right. So what is that window to? What's on the other side of that window?
The maid's quarters.
In the porch.
And then the skylight. Okay. The skylight is over the top of that.
I see.
Yeah. So this roof needs to be replaced. This roof needs to be replaced. This one needs to be at least repaired. Now it's slate on this side, but on the other side it isn't. On the back side is a brand new graphite roof or asphalt.
Slate's expensive, and if you don't see it from every angle, you don't need to have it. But
these need to be replaced. But I'd like to keep this slate and repair it if possible. We'll see.
Well, they sell slate. I mean, you can replace it with new slate. I love the look of it. I think it looks great too.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's so cool looking.
And but it is not cheap.
To be, the scallop siding is bizarre.
I love it.
Doesn't look bad.
It's like scales on a fish.
I know, but it's aluminum. So it's like, I don't know. If we wanted to change it, the house has a lot of curb appeal though. Like I don't think it needs it.
It looks great.
But like then if we're gonna again another domino is like if we're gonna replace these dormers, let's make these bigger, right?
Yeah, you can change the way they look for sure.
Would that
you just pop them out like same footprint but just straight out as opposed to this?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. So that they're rectangles, you mean?
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe bigger bay windows. So same kind of dimension, but larger, longer, so taller, wider. Is that
Yeah,
expensive?
you got options. It's fun to think about for sure.
Yeah.
What I will say is come up with almost everything you want to do and start tracking it. Like build a spreadsheet, just like ideas, and
Yeah,
it
we
doesn't
got
have to
one.
be anything fancy.
We got
Yeah,
3
and
tiers.
then
Tier
you
1,
get
tier
to a
2, tier 3.
you get to a critical mass, or something happens that needs to be fixed with the house, like it's an emergency, and then you're like, all right, here's what we had always wanted to do. So like, are we going to build this into the plan to do it? That's what we did.
Yeah, we've
And then
got,
you move out, and then you get it done. You move back in, as
safety
opposed to living
security,
through.
tier 1, functional upgrades, tier 2, pure wants, tier 3.
Yeah,
There's enough on
yeah.
there to last us 20 years.
I think doing things, especially when you first buy a house, doing things just because you want them, they work and they're fine, but you want it to make it look like the way you want it to look like. That's the like least important thing to do.
Yeah. Like this place, there's some things that need to be. The fireplace doesn't work. There's deteriorating mortar on the chimneys. The roof needs to be fixed. There's a door needs to be, a fire door needs to be installed. There's like functional things, and the air conditioning is near the end of life. I actually played golf with a guy who works in that field, and he was like, "That saying they don't make them like they used to is never truer than it is with HVAC." So if you've got a system from the 90s, you hang on to that thing until it falls apart, because
Sure.
whatever you get next won't be as good. And I think it's also using Freon, which I don't know, we'll see. But like that could crap out any minute,
And that's when you get it fixed, but
Yeah.
not a second before then. You don't.
that's
All
the
right.
move. Now here's the
What are you
big
going to spend
debate that
money
we've
to?
been having.
Go ahead.
So do you think I'm crazy for wanting to buy a lawnmower?
No, if you have a lawn, you have to. There's not unless you're going to pay somebody.
True. Yeah, you can pay somebody.
Okay.
There's the backyard. Allison thinks I'm nuts. She doesn't think I'll actually stick with it. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
Lawnmowers aren't that expensive. I mean, even if you buy one and then you're like, I don't want to do this, after 6 months, after 1 year of doing it, you can sell it for a quarter what you paid for it.
Yeah.
And then hire somebody. I mean, I would try doing it yourself first.
Yeah. I've got it picked out. I think I'm going to go with the Toro 22-inch easy mulch with a 1.6 liter Briggs & Stratton self-propelled engine.
See,
it's fun.
It's something you enjoyed looking at. So yeah, that makes sense. And look, Sloan, you only got to cut the grass for another 9 years until Sloan's old enough to do it. 10. That's about right.
Did your sister ever cut the grass?
No.
Yeah, neither did mine.
Just me. Maybe she did after I went to college, but
is that because we were there? Like,
yes.
do you think it's okay to ask a daughter to cut the grass?
Yeah. Why not?
Equal rights, equal opportunity. Caitlin Clark.
That's a nice flat yard too. There's no issues there.
Yeah.
I had to wear spikes to cut my grass.
You did, because of the slope. That's right.
The hills.
Yeah, dude, that was intense. Yeah, I didn't need to wear spikes. My dad made me wear boots, but not spikes. That's not an area you want to slip though.
My sister has, obviously she goes to these camps and things like that for kids with limb differences, and she says there's a number of people who are there that have had lawnmower accidents, and that's why they're there, which is sickening to even think about, but goddamn. We had
yeah, it is.
We're in Bethpage. We're in Bethpage last weekend.
You go to your bagel place?
The annual trip. No, we didn't have time. We went to Great story. And you've never been there, but I'll tell you the abbreviated version. So the idea is at the parking lot. You know about the parking lot, right? Like you get there and you park your car, and then that's it, your spot for the next day. And
based on where you park?
Yeah, the spots are numbered. So first person who gets there parks in spot 1. Then you just fill in.
That's cool.
So we had heard that this year, because the Ryder Cup's happening this year later, that it's just been crazy.
So cool.
We usually get there pretty early. We usually get there like 9 o'clock or so, 9:30 the morning before we're playing. And there's a guy who lives in Baltimore. He's an hour closer than we are. He usually gets there first. This year he was in New Jersey at the beach at Ocean City. And so he's an early riser anyway, woke up at 4:45 and just was like, I'm going. And he left and got there at 7:15 and got the second spot.
Is that the highest you've ever been? Anyone in your group?
I don't think we've ever been lower than 2.
Really?
So 2 is, yeah.
And so you've got to get up at 4. What time was he at the course to get spot 2?
7:15 in the morning.
Well, that's not that hard to get up at 7:15 a.m.
He got up at 4:45. He got there by 7:15.
But I'm saying if you're local, for me, I guess it'll still take me some time to get out there. It'll still take me a couple hours.
By the way,
Long Island, yeah.
This is 7:15 the day before. This is 24 hours before you're playing golf.
Sorry. That's an important.
If you get there at 7:15, the morning you want to play golf, you will not play golf on the black course that day.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'll tell you why in a second. But so we were in the second car, and I had left early because I was trying to get a tee time for that afternoon, on Friday afternoon, to play with 3 of us while the one guy sits with the car. The rule is, there's a bunch of rules, and they have a big sign that lists them all. And like the number 1 rule is, let me just see if I can.
Yeah, I want to see this.
Pull it up.
And this course is worth all this?
It's very cool. It's just it's not just about the course when you go. It's like, it's a very, just the experience of being able to do that, where you can just sleep in your car. If that's how bad you want to play golf, you will play golf.
Yeah.
So
no, it's very cool. I just wonder I wonder what it is that draws people back to sacrifice their comfort short term. Is it really worth it?
Well, yes, it for golf nuts it is, right? All right. So vehicles may park in designated space no earlier than 24 hours prior to the issuance of bakery tickets. So they come at 4:30 in the morning this time of year.
Bakery ticket.
It's just like a deli ticket, like whenever you pull the numbers off the thing.
Oh, okay.
And you're waiting in line at the deli. So vehicles must be backed in, right? Individuals must remain with their vehicle from the moment it is placed on the line until park staff issue bakery tickets and or bracelets to occupants. Vehicles which are unoccupied for a greater period than 1 hour forfeit their line position. So if you can take if you have to go to the bathroom, you got to go to the bathroom, like fine. You want to go get something to eat. You can't move your car, but you can.
They're enforcing
you can walk.
That?
Well, so we got there and we were the second spot. So I get to the lot at like 10 a.m. and I talked to our guy and he's like, man, I haven't seen anyone in that car since I got here. It's been 3 hours. I already called the front just to say, hey, there's something going on. And the guy inside was like, well, what spot are you in? He's like, I'm in the second spot. He's like, oh, you'll get out tomorrow. They're probably just playing golf. And he's like, no, that's not the fucking rules, man. Like, you can't just park a car and then leave and then come back in the morning. It's literally, it says you can't do that, but that's also against the spirit of how this goes. Right. And if you do, the first spot in line is the most important spot. And so
it says that everyone has to be in the car. So he was there first, but you don't get to play at the same time as him.
One person has to be with the car.
Yeah, but how do the rest of you get bakery tickets?
We get in his car at 4:30 when the guy rolls around. So we all drove separately.
Because it says there that you're only getting bracelets to people based on the number of occupants in the vehicle.
Well, vehicles.
It's the fourth bullet point.
Each vehicle based upon the number of occupants in the vehicle.
He got a ticket at the time that you weren't there. How does that work?
Well, they used to give bracelets when you pulled in because it was your car, and then that way that car can't get moved, and then
they would give you 4 bracelets, no matter how many people were in your car.
They just give you 1. The tickets happen the next day, right? Okay. And when he comes around, he's like, "How many people are in this car?" And he gives you 4 if there's 4 of you.
Gotcha.
And so anyway, because I got to roll in like 5 minutes. So the lot starts filling up, and there's a lot of locals that show up to play the other courses. They just want to get out early and play the other courses the next day. And so they get there early as well. And everyone starts coming up to our friend Mark, and they're like, "What's going on with spot 1?" He's like, "I don't know. The car's not here. The car's not here." He's like, "What are you going to do about it?" Like, it's like, "That's fucked up. It's not just affecting you. It's fucking it. What are you going to?" It's like, it becomes this whole thing. No one cared. Like, another guy rolled up from Bethpage, and we told him, and he just didn't. He's like, "Yeah, no one's going to enforce the rules." It's like, that's fucking bullshit, man. Sorry, you can't do that. You got to enforce this rule.
Yeah,
get rid of this. And so at 4:30 in the morning, so these kids, they're little twerps. They showed up at like 3:30 in the morning, an hour before they gave tickets. They were sleeping somewhere else. Twerps, man, look like fucking private high school kids, high school kids.
Little twerps.
I never use that word, but it is perfect to describe how these people
sometimes look. You know, the word just fits like a glove.
They show up. Everyone's milling about it. 20 after 4, and locals like, "You fucking kids, you weren't fucking here." And they start, and they're like, "Yeah, we were playing golf." He's like, "I'd love to have been fucking playing golf. I was sitting with my car. I wanted to play golf with my friends, but I couldn't because that's the fucking, So the dude pulls up with the tickets at 4:30 and immediately just gets berated by like all these these fucking kids weren't. If you're either gonna fucking enforce the rules or you're not gonna fucking enforce the rules.
I'm sitting in my car for 6 days.
And if you don't enforce the rules, it's gonna be, this parking lot's gonna be chaos." And I didn't know if he meant like in the future, if like it's just over, or
we're
if he
gonna
meant
riot
like right now.
Yeah.
You ain't getting out of here. And he's kind of like doing, he's like judge. He's hearing the sides. He's like, "So they're saying you're not here." And they're like, "Bro, we were here all day. Like, the people sleeping in the cars all night. Look, there's pillows in the cars." And our friend Mark just looked at him. He looked at my friend Mark, and Mark said, "There's 15 guys in this line that'll tell you that they weren't here." And so he skipped them. He skipped those kids and moved them to the back of the line.
Did the kids freak out?
They pushed back. One of them did, but the other ones were like, "Dude, we got caught. Let's not." And these are adults. These are like adult men. And it's kind of, I don't think they realize like how much you would be fucking with.
I mean,
not just people like them.
That I would have tried when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
"That's right.
I'll park my car and it'll work out just fine."
Until you get, right. And then the next morning when you realize it's like, oh, these are adults who
know what?
And they're trying to enjoy their weekends, and they live here.
Overstepped a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the guy handing out tickets was pissed at this point. He's getting it. He's like, "It's fucking 4:30 in the morning. Why? Everyone calm down one at a time." And so he looked at the in the rules, like you said, individuals must relate their vehicle. Each vehicle based upon the number of occupants in the vehicle. And he goes, "You want to play by the rules? Everybody in your cars. Let's go." And so we're like, it got real quiet. And everyone just like crammed in the cars. The problem was Mark, whose car was parked in spot 2, was a Volkswagen GTI. And it's tiny. And he had the back seats folded down because he was sleeping in the back.
Yeah.
And so 4 of us, I got in the back seat. I had to like sit on top. It's like in the fetal position, like in the car. Guy goes, "You got 4 people in there?" And he's like, "Yeah, we got it." He's like, "All right, here you go." That was it. And we got to the front.
You need to send your initial Scout in like a Suburban. That's got to be, you got to get a bigger car for the Scout.
Well, now look, and then we drove. He was like, "Do you guys want to get out and drive your own cars?" Like, no, just go to the drive to the clubhouse and let's just get this done. We'll come back later.
How did you play?
So it was fine. It was no big deal, but it was.
Did you play well?
A lot of raised voices at 4:30 in the morning in the Bethpage parking lot. I've never seen that happen. It's been 9 years, I think, that we've gone. That's never happened before. Because it can't happen. It won't. The people in the lot will not allow that to happen.
People are sleeping in their cars for a day.
I know.
You're not gonna there's nothing more important than the rules at that juncture. By the way, I the last round I played, which was on the 14th, I shot my best round ever by 5 strokes.
Congrats! What'd you shoot?
I shot a 81. I was
nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was 6 over after 5. And I told one of my buddies, I was like, I feel like like the ball feels so heavy. Like my swing feels heavy. And he was like, think about hitting down on the ball more. Right. From there.
I mean, shit,
I was
3 over from there.
4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats, man. Breaking 80 is a big deal. You're getting closer.
I haven't played since, and I don't know that I'm gonna. That might be it.
That's it.
Might be the top of the mountain.
Hang it up. All right, I got to roll.
When you shoot Bethpage, do you shoot like a near 100?
No.
It's not that hard, or you're that good?
What
would I shoot there?
I think if you played it the first time,
17 handicap.
I mean, it depends. It's tough. There's shots that are just impossible for some people to hit. Like there's a lot of elevation, so if you can't elevate the ball, then it's tough. But it's not that. I shot 85 and I actually didn't play very well. I think I've shot 82 or 3 there.
Damn.
The first time we went, the guy who's a 1 or 2 handicap shot 70, 74.
Wow.
74, 75.
I've heard that's a very hard course, so that's impressive. All right, so have a great day at work.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, and good luck with sending the wire.
Thanks, man.
Later.